Hey there folks, this is Ooishi welcoming you right back to Let's Play Higurashi. This is episode 75. In last episode we made a start on the time killing arc and we met our new main character and he's finding out all about the Great Dam War in the past. Let's carry on with that. Shishiban City was, as far as provincial cities went, rather behind the times. Hinamizawa, recessed in the mountains, was even more remote. With little change between the seasons, all that was left was the tepid passage of time. It made for a rather drab town. There were no tourist attractions or local delicacies. Without even a strong regional industry, it was simply dull. Just looking at the monotonous and peaceful townscape, it was hard to catch a glimpse of the radical resistance of the Ooishi Defense Alliance. The atmosphere of boredom didn't hint of the Hinamizawa police station being on the front lines of the dam conflict, nor of the numerous incidents that I heard about at the prefectural headquarters. Good morning. Are you here to pay a fine? No, we're here to do some research. No, I have an appointment with Matadai-san from the Public Safety Division. Please tell him it's Akasaka. Ah. My apologies, please wait a minute. The clerk, who thought that I was here for a parking violation at first glance, after fumbling with the unfamiliar extension number, told the person on the line they had a visitor. Welcome, welcome. Akasaka-san, was it? It must have been tiring travelling out all this way. Sorry we have to do this here. I tried to reserve a reception room, you see. But the counsellor suddenly woke up and chased me out. What a shit. I would hesitate to call where we were a conference room, as it was very small and cluttered. The cramped space was packed with lockers. I had the impression that it was more of a change room that doubled as one for smoking. Listening to his crude chortles, I didn't get much of a feeling that Matadai, who was head of the local public safety division, was much of an intellectual. Oh, hold on. There we go. But I know that, in exchange, he had both experience and absolute confidence in his instincts. I apologise for interrupting you during such a busy time. I'm Akasaka from the Metropolitan Police Department. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Matadai from the Public Safety Division. Nice to meet ya. I was threatened by Sankai from the prefectural gangbusters to be generous with my cooperation. Wah! Gangbusters? You mean the Prefectural Crime Prevention Division? You see, we're treating the Ooishi Defense Alliance as an extension of the local Yakuza. You'd have to be a newbie if you think they're just a residential protest group. They said at the prefectural office, too, that the Ooishi Defense Alliance was linked to the local mob. If I recall correctly, the adopted son of somebody influential was a lieutenant in that gang. It's the other way round. The complete opposite. The Yakuza put up the protest group as a front to justify their actions. Just think of it like that. Completely the other way round. Matadai was just about rolling with laughter. This was slightly different than the info given to me at the prefectural office, but somebody embedded locally would be more knowledgeable. Surely. While we were talking, occasionally some people who seemed to be detectives would come in and change. One of those individuals, noticing Matadai's guffaws, came up to us. Oh, hello. I was wondering what you guys were talking about. Oh, Kuro-chan. Perfect timing. Why don't you join us? This here is Inspector Akasaka, who came all the way from the Tokyo Police Department. An Inspector? I'm still a rookie. My name is Akasaka. Pleased to meet you. It must be nice to be so fresh-faced. Did they hire you this year? Oh, I love this song. Have we heard this song before? I can't say we have. I couldn't help but think I was being ridiculed, so I only responded with a forced smile. I could tell that this new person was like Matadai, the type who had confidence in their instincts and experience. I really didn't like those types of people. Let me introduce you, Akasaka-san. This is Ooishi-kun from our investigative department. Regarding the S-file you were talking about, he's familiar with it. It's nice to finally get a face that we've seen in other arcs. Finally, we're not far. S-file? Is it an X-file? S for Sonozaki. Oh. If something is an S-file, it means it has something to do with the Sonozaki family. It's something of a code name. We did hear about it in the last arc as well, the S-files. Sonozaki? Come to think of it, I remembered when I was poring over the documents at headquarters. There were quite a few people with the last name Sonozaki popping up. If I remember right, it's the Sonozaki who is one of the executives of the Ooishi Defense Alliance. I'm pretty sure they're the treasurer. The two of them were surprised when I rattled off what post that Sonozaki held. After a moment, both of them erupted into laughter. Okay. Akasaka-san, was it? You're quite the studious one. Could it be you've memorized all of the central figures in the Alliance? Maybe. I wouldn't say memorized exactly, but I've at least read the list of Onikafuchi Defense Alliance executives. Who? Then who are the President and Vice President? The President is the Mayor of Hinamizawa, Kei Kimiyoshi. The Vice President is the priest of the local shrine, Furude. The Treasurer is O Sonozaki, the Auditor is Makino. So, the first three at least are all people who, you know, they're from Hinamizawa and have so much impact on what's going on. The Liaison is Y Kimiyoshi. The PR Head is Y Sonozaki. Oh god. Akasaka-san, you're pretty good. The pay sucks, but you want to work here? You're just the type we're looking for. That's an exact line from the manga, I'm pretty sure I remember reading that. By the way, Yoshio Sonozaki is head of the youth department. So close! The head of public relations is actually Tadayoshi Sonozaki. Oh, okay. Feeling like I wasn't being complimented at all, I started settling into an uncomfortable mood. However, I was becoming more and more aware that I was the weakest link in this investigation, so I just had to bear with it. I didn't mean for that feeling to show up on my face, but the crafty detectives didn't let that slip by. Yeah, I didn't mean to make fun of you. To make up for it, why don't I show you around the village? For somebody with no feel for the area like me, it would be a great help. So Ooishi is going to come to the village with us. It makes sense considering he's one of the popular faces of the game. I couldn't have asked for more. In the end, the Onikafuchi Defense Alliance is nothing more than an alliance Hinamizawa is using to deal with the outside world. I think getting to know the village would speed up your work. How about it? The residential movement, in other words, held influence over the whole region. So the leader of the movement was the leader of that influence. Just like that, the thought processes in the region would become the overall personality of the movement. Just like Ooishi had said, in order to learn what they were really like, this regional force behind the dam protests, getting to know the village was the quickest way. If you would. Nodding back without skipping a beat, Ooishi laughed in satisfaction and stood up. I love this jazzy song, seriously. I do like a bit of sax. If I took the information I learned at the prefectural office and from Motodai to heart, if my position was exposed, my personal safety was at risk. The opponent was an extremist group that had no qualms about using threats or violence against somebody. If my personal info was leaked, it wouldn't be hard to imagine that I'd be in danger, whether on the job or not. Thinking that, I felt a little nervous. These guys are quick to remember faces. If you're seen with me, they'll probably do a lot to hinder your work. This might be a little cliche, but put these on. Ooishi handed me an incredibly suspicious disguise comprised of a baseball cap, sunglasses, and a mask. Just a little bit suspicious, you know. I didn't want to get all hot and stuffy, but Oishi's warning was probably right on the money. Considering that, I put them on with appreciation. I looked so suspicious that Ooishi had to smile wryly. How much did I tell you again? Let's see. To the part where you were talking about how these three ancient families control the village. The Onikafuchi Defense Alliance was the same as the village of Hinamizawa itself, meaning there was a direct correlation between being an executive in the Alliance and being a leader in the village, as Motodai had told me a short time ago. If the village was ruled by three ancient families, then it would mean the Onikafuchi Defense Alliance was ruled by those same three families. What did the documents at the prefectural office say about the leader of the Defense Alliance or whatnot? The documents I was using were classified. If I responded to Oishi's question, it'd be a breach of security. Even to your own people. Like, I know they're not in the same offices and all that crap, but isn't it like all working together kind of thing? However, most likely, this man, I judged, was more well versed in the situation than any of the documents at the prefectural police department, so I decided to answer him. That the president of the Alliance is the current mayor of the village, Kichiro Kimiyoshi. Ooishi, upon hearing that, let out a small chuckle. For him to ask like that, and to laugh at the answer as it was recorded in the documents, meant that wasn't the case in reality. So then, that means there's somebody else other than Kimiyoshi behind the scenes. Contrary to what the prefectural office thinks, or rather, what is commonly known, Old Man Kimiyoshi is nothing more than a figurehead. In the first place, the post of mayor in that village is nothing more than ceremonial. Yeah, because the three families, I'm guessing, have more influence on what goes on. In other words, there's something else in charge of both the Alliance and the village. Would that be the three families we just talked about? Yeah, I would say so, but I guess. Well, I'll explain that part right now. Okay. All of a sudden, with a thunk, the car suddenly lurched. Oh, The paved road had given way to a gravel one. Oh shit, they're going into rural territory. At the same time, the scenery outside the window changed. Nice. The Hinamizawa dam project must be withdrawn. Overthrow the shameless puppet of a governor. The dam will submerge the natural beauty of Hinamizawa. These are going to be signs around the road, aren't they? Protect the village from the unethical dam, I say road. Fear the wrath of Ooishi-sama's curse. Demolish the dam. Those involved must go away. The construction office must respond. The office manager XX must negotiate with us. Signs and banners crowded the roadside. Even reading the brush-scrawled words was daunting. It was as though where the road just changed was a border with a different country. Nope. At that moment I was startled by the car suddenly braking. Looking ahead, a barricade had been erected. About 5 or 6 protesters wearing masks and helmets to hide their faces were blocking the road, yelling at us angrily to stop. What's this? A checkpoint? These guys never learn. Ooishi snorted as he rolled down the window and leaned out. Hey, you guys! You can't be blocking the road like this here! As Ooishi glared at them with a malicious laugh, they visibly faltered. Clear the way. We can't get by like this. Who would have thought it was Ooishi's car? That panicked thought seemed to make them lose their presence of mind. If we'd known it was your car, Detective Ooishi, we wouldn't have been so rude. Detective, what happened to your usual car? Is it in for maintenance? Something like that. I just can't get used to this car they loaned me. Judging from their brief conversation, I could guess they were familiar with the license plate of the car Ooishi normally used. You must be here quite a lot, yeah? In other words, if they knew the car belonged to the police, they would have hidden the barricade. What they were doing was obviously obstruction of traffic. A blatant crime. Who's that suspicious guy? Could you show us your face? The man glared at me menacingly. Wearing a mask and sunglasses made me look particularly dubious. Would not showing my face get me into some unnecessary trouble? Well, yeah, but I don't think the disguise is working very well. I turned to Ooishi to see what I should do. Give him a break. He's still a shy little rookie. We just wanted to make sure he wasn't anybody suspicious. Hinamizawa has been in a bit of a stir as of late. Have you looked at yourself in the mirror? That mask you're wearing is way more suspicious. The men and Ooishi continued to talk like that, feigning smiles at one another. However, from the beginning to the end, I couldn't get over the feeling I was sitting on a powder keg. Has the number of trucks illegally dumping still not decreased? It's a real hassle dealing with it all the time. If the police could understand and cooperate, it would really help. During that conversation, the barricade was moved, leaving a gap wide enough for a single car to get through. Ooishi lightly honked the horn once and began to roll the car forward. I could see the men's antagonistic glares at the back of the car in the rearview mirror. We made it through though. What was that just now? Blocking a public road like that? Of course it's a crime. Still, if you get worked up over that, it'll never end. Those guys, see, claim there's an infestation of trucks illegally dumping in the village. Their story goes that in order to stop that, they're halting suspicious vehicles for inspection. Illegal dumping? Like corrupt contractors just tossing industrial waste away? Their line of argument is that if the police aren't going to do anything about it, they'll take matters into their own hands. That sounds like fair enough, but it's obviously an excuse. Well, the industrial waste is just something they're doing by themselves anyway. By themselves? They have a pretty good strategy. You see, in order to hinder construction, they've spread industrial waste over by the dam site. Then, blaming it on corrupt contractors, they start instituting these inspections. I'll get there eventually. They stop every construction vehicle coming through and interfere with them as much as possible. Oh dear. So then, it's one of the methods the Ongafuchi Defense Alliance is using. With that inspection just now, this car's license plate has probably been recorded. It shouldn't get stopped from here on out. Those guys know very well not to get me angry. See, rumour is that if they figure a car's related to the construction in some way, not only would there be checkpoints stopping it at every turn, but they'd be throwing rocks and planting road spikes as well. It's best you be careful so you're not identified. If they find out you're from public safety, who knows what you'll suffer through. No. Ooishi was acting like we were talking about something fun, but for me it was no laughing matter. I can see why. It almost feels like we've wandered into a civil war in the Middle East. That's a good way of putting it. It's pretty much just what you said. Ooishi turned to me with a grin and menacing laugh. You see, this here's a war zone. The car slowed down a bit as it went down a narrow road through some farmland. You see that house in that forest over there? That antiquated one? Looking at where Ooishi was pointing, there certainly was an old, traditionally designed house. Whose is it? That belongs to the mayor, Old Man Kamiyoshi. Oh, okay. You could say it belongs to the main Kamiyoshi house as well. There's a lot of branches, but they'd be one of the three families. The three families. The ancient families that control Hinamizawa. That's right. And one of the others is the Furude family. Their house doesn't even have a single branch, as all that's left is the head priest's family. Right over there. There's the shrine. So it's only one family. He's the priest there. One family within the Furude family, if that makes any sense whatsoever. By the way, the Defense Alliance's office is on the grounds of that shrine. The office of the Onagafuji Defense Alliance. If these guys were the enemy, that would make the shrine their stronghold. Can we go look over there? The shrine is the Furude family's private property, you see. Being police, we can't set foot there without a warrant. See, they've got a member of the Diet with ties to the village backing them up. I still don't know what they mean by the Diet. Basically, being the police has its strengths and weaknesses. Well, even when we talk about the three families, that's something from a long time ago. Way back when those three families used to hold councils to decide things about the village. Meaning, it's different now? You got a pretty good nose. That's what I expect from an academic. The car braked to a halt with a squeal. Ahead of where we were stopped were several signs. Private property beyond, no trespassing. Beware of poisonous snakes. Danger, turn back. Intruders will be charged an entry fee of 1 million yen. Is that a lot? Sounds like a lot. Signs were erected there with things like that written on them. The road was separated from the forecast by a chain link fence wrapped in barbed wire. Ugh. Since this is private property, this is as far as we can go. There's several surveillance cameras set up further in. Saying that we just got lost won't work with these guys. They're beyond here, right? The people currently controlling Hinamizawa and the Onagafuji Defense Alliance were neither the Kamiyoshi family nor the Furude family, but the last of the three. Yeah. Beyond here is one of the three families, the Sonozaki family. They're the ones controlling Hinamizawa from the shadows. Among the list of executives recorded in the documents, the number of people with last names from the three families was quite high. Of course, Sonozaki was no exception. However, at the top was the Kamiyoshi family. If the Kamiyoshi family seemed to be in charge, the rulers behind the scenes were the Sonozaki family. This double-layered structure implicitly told me that this village had both a light and dark side. The current head of the Sonozaki family is an old lady named Oyo. She has enough clout that you call her Empress Sonozaki. The old lady that's Mion and Shion's grandmother, I think. Be careful, she's no small fry. She's enough of a VIP that even the mayor of the city has to bow before her. Well, in Hinamizawa and the surrounding area, the relatives amount to a block of several thousand votes. No politician could show disrespect for that. In other words, that would make her the actual leader of the Onagafuji Defense Alliance, right? You got it. With those words, Ooishi pulled out a well-worn cigarette box. The suspected kidnapping of the minister's grandchild and subsequent threats. Were these part of the hidden plot by the Onagafuji Defense Alliance in order to have the Hinamizawa Dam project cancelled? I would think so. You came all the way from Tokyo to investigate this, didn't you? Huh? Ah, yeah. That's right. Something the matter? Ah, then, is it related to that direct appeal incident with Minister Inugai? If that's the case, then public safety has them marked on a watch list? Something like that? Having you guessed that so quickly makes this easy. While exhaling out cigarette smoke, Ooishi smiled broadly like I'd just pulled a good one on him. Or so I thought. His smile disappeared suddenly. That's a lie, isn't it? I mean, the direct appeal putting them on a watch list. That's a lie, isn't it? Ooishi knew there was no way that Tokyo HQ would dispatch an investigator over something as minor as a direct appeal. If they were to dispatch someone, it had to be for a more dire reason. He had figured out as much. I thought of myself as the type of person who doesn't let things show on their face. In front of his watchful gaze, however, I felt that what I was thinking was completely laid bare. Ooishi silently lit another cigarette, as if waiting for me to interject during this awkward pause. I see. So this was a veteran detective's way of getting someone to spill information. But as long as I realised this, there would be nothing more. If I didn't open my mouth, I wouldn't have to lose anything. All I had to do was stare out the window and enjoy the scenery until Ooishi gave up. You really are bad at hiding things, you know. Being so young and earnest isn't so bad. Ooishi smirked as he twisted out his third cigarette, while I tried not to let him notice that I had yielded completely. At first I thought I'd won, but at the very least, Ooishi had ascertained that I was hiding something, meaning that I might have ended up marching to his tune. Ooishi started up the engine once again and began to move the car. This is a long journey. If you'd just been honest with me, I thought I might have been able to help you. How would you help? If the cat was out of the bag, I might as well use it to catch some mice. Well, this depends on what we're talking about, but I might be able to set you up with someone who's knowledgeable about the goings-on in Hinamizawa. An informant? I see, is that what you call it? Why are you interested in my case? Ooishi-san? Well, I'm the same as you. Isn't it our business to know things? Being able to meet with Ooishi's informant was an extremely compelling opportunity. We were looking to recruit somebody familiar with the area to collaborate with for intelligence. In the end, there was no better method for finding people than asking. We were always taught, however, that the rank-and-file police were no better than monkeys. Oh, that's nice. Unlike us, they were careless with confidential cases. We looked down on them like they'd run their mouth off in a drunken stupor. Ooishi was an outlaw, even amongst them, and here I was lost on whether or not I should tell him about the kidnapping of the minister's grandson. This informant, exactly how knowledgeable are they about the Higurashi Defense Alliance? Yeah, if you're from public safety, you'd know, wouldn't you? Something like that is something I can't just tell you. Protect the sources. That was the first principle of dealing with confidential information. In that regard, it seemed that Ooishi wasn't one of those monkeys. Should I trust him, ask for his help, or not? It's just that you work for the feds, and I work for the prefecture. I don't think that our jobs are that different. I think I can be of help. However, I had trouble believing that this crafty old man would simply help me just like he claimed. He is crafty. I find it hard to believe that someone of your standing would help me out without strings attached. Ah, well, it's not like I'm completely without an ulterior motive. As I recall, you guys have space in your budget allocated to pay informants, right? Something you don't need to submit a receipt for. Just a little bit of that would be the cost of meeting with the informant. In other words, give the compensation earmarked for the informant to you first. Well, it helps that the details of this deal are so clear-cut. He certainly was something else for being able to brazenly state his ulterior motive like this. Rather than him doing this out of the kindness of his heart, everything was a lot clearer if he was being compensated for his deal. I felt that he was the type of man who was good at these backroom dealings. Don't misunderstand me, please. It's not me who needs the money, it's the informant, okay? Well, in regards to the payment, I'll be handling the money. When do you want it? Right now would be good. If you don't have it on you, tomorrow works as well. I pulled out a wallet that was different from my personal one. The price was pretty much fixed depending on what kind of information I was paying for. In this case, the payment was up front. Also, considering the fact I didn't know what kind of info I would get, I shouldn't pay too much. When I suggested that, Ooishi suddenly stretched out his hand and tightly grasped the contents of the wallet. At times like this, it's best you not be so stingy. It's alright, it won't go to waste. I understand. I won't be stingy. And, what kind of information are you looking for? Depending on what you want, Depending on what you want, how we approach this will probably change. You swear you won't spread this information to anybody else, Ooishi-san? I can't swear as much. And the same as you. I can't withhold information obtained during the course of my duties. I got it, I swear. Nothing here gets said anywhere else. On top of that, thanks to you I can pay back what I owe from my mahjong debts. In any case, I won't break a promise that involves money. I was still unsure if I should trust him until the very last moment, but in the end I broke down. Ooishi wasn't the type of guy I could trust 100%. No kidding. But there was no mistaking he had access to underground information networks. In order to accomplish my mission swiftly, I needed his cooperation. I set my resolve. I'm investigating whether or not the Higurashi Defense Alliance is related to a certain incident. Certain incident? There's a possibility that the Minister of Construction, Inigai, is being coerced by someone. Saying this possibility is kind of a roundabout way of putting it. It appears there's a mole close to the Minister, and due to that mole, the Minister had been monitored quite thoroughly and was seemingly forced to to see to their threats right away. None of this was reported to us or the police. I see. So that's why you're saying there's only a possibility he's being coerced. In that case, isn't it a little strange? If the minister didn't report this to anybody, how did you guys know about this incident? If we didn't spy on the minister's private life, we would have never found out. I don't think we have to provide that explanation to the informant, so I'm omitting it. Ooishi had apparently caught on and quietly chuckled when he refused to explain. I see. It's a spy close to the minister, so public safety made it a highly classified investigation. That certainly isn't a very amicable story, is it? If this matter became public, not only would this affect the minister's political career, but the possibility of there being a shift in the political landscape is extremely high. If the perpetrator's aim is indeed that, then this could develop into a very grave situation. Well, with the government been having development projects all over the country, they've butted heads with quite a few people. It wouldn't take much wrongdoing for the left-wing parties to suddenly garner more support. We're currently investigating what demands are being forced on the minister. But at least we have a good idea of how he's being threatened. How? The minister's grandson was kidnapped. They're denying it, but judging from when he was last seen, it's believed it's already been over 72 hours since the kidnapping. So 3 days. If they were just after ransom money, this would have been settled by now. It may be this isn't for monetary gain. The possibility that they're forcing the minister to do something politically is extremely high. That's something we just can't consent to. So then, the Onikafuchi Defense Alliance was listed as one of the possible perpetrators. That's correct. Kidnap the minister's grandson and demand the cancellation of the dam project. What do you think, Ooishi-san? From your point of view, do you think that's possible? Ooishi seemed to ponder the idea for a while. The section chief at the regional office had responded immediately with, "It's possible." However, Ooishi, who was this well informed about the matter, was hemming and hawing. Finally, just a little bit. He said something that was really just a little bit strange. This was before the Meiji era, you see. This area wasn't named Hinamizawa village back then. It was called Onikafuchi. This is just what I heard from my grandmother. This topic was so completely and suddenly unrelated to the subject of the kidnapping of the minister's grandson that I was taken slightly aback. Onikafuchi? Oh, so that's why they're called the Onikafuchi Defense Alliance. You see, the village of Onikafuchi was said to be inhabited by demons that devoured humans. Even now, it's believed that the blood of these demons partially courses through the veins of the villagers. Demons that devour humans? Ooishi-san, what are you saying? It's information. I got a lot from you just now. A little too much. In exchange, I'm giving you a little freebie. Ooishi finally smiled, but it didn't seem like he was fooling around. Please continue. You see, these human-devouring demons, normally they were revered as Taoist transcendents and lived tucked away from the rest of the world. But they ate people after all, so apparently they go to the village in foothills regularly and abduct their prey. They used to call that being demoned away, or onikakushi. Demoned away. It was the first time I heard such a peculiar phrase. However, I felt something slightly ominous from this horrifying tale of demons abducting people in order to eat them. Look, you know how there's the common phrase spirited away? When people suddenly go missing one day, they call it that. When the same thing happens around here, they call it being demoned away. How's that old tale relate to the matter at hand? Oh no, there's no direct relationship. I'm just making some small talk here. It's just... Ga-thump, ga-thump. The car shook. At some point the gravel road had changed to a paved one. Oh, okay. It's just what? That around here, the phrase demoned away is somewhat of a code for disappearances and kidnappings. I just thought I'd mention that. I don't know if this has anything to do with the kidnapping of the minister's grandson. Well, there's no deep meaning behind it. It's just, there's that little bit of history. Onikakuchi, human-eating demons coming down to the foothills and abducting their prey. Then, in order to cancel the dam project that threatened to submerge the village they lived in, did they demon away the minister's grandson? Then, had they already made an example out of the minister's grandson and eaten him alive? Oh god. It's a bit of an interesting old tale, isn't it? If you set foot into the demon's village without reason, you'll promptly be captured and eaten alive. So don't go near Onikafuchi. Kids these days wouldn't have these superstitions, would they? Even amongst the older folk in Okinamaya, born in the Meiji era, there's quite a few who wouldn't heed these warnings. Hinamizawa village was feared by the people in the area. I recalled that piece of information I heard from the Prefectural Public Safety Division. In any case, we're in the boonies out here. It's kind of expected that there'd be some superstitions around. Somebody from Tokyo like you, Akasaka-san, probably couldn't even begin to imagine it, could you? The man-eating demons as the price for violating the sanctity of their village, kidnapping the minister's grandson, and swallowed him whole. That ludicrous idea flew through my head. It was so absurd, I was half disgusted with myself. Ooishi was just teasing me. Stupid. It was all really so stupid. Come to think of it, by then, I may have already been seized by the curse of that dubious village. For me to realise that would take a little more time. Black. It's all black. Oh, there we go! The end of chapter 1. So, Ooishi and Akasaka? Oh god. Ooishi and Akasaka have made it to Hinamizawa, pretty much. Oh, it's a million tips. Look at them all. Okay, let's get to it. And that's pretty much all that's happened so far. They've gone for the kidnapping. Land of the Demons. Ah, look at us disguising the achievement. That's quite funny. Sorry. There we go. Phone call with Yuki. Okay. Oh, let's check out Preggers then. Check out the Preggers one. Oh, really? It's tough when it's such a sudden assignment. Please be careful. Where you headed? You already there? Is Yuki talking to, Akasaka. Whenever I headed out on assignment, she would ask where. Not just Yuki, but anybody would have asked the same question. If it was a cold place, she would urge me to pack a thick jacket. If it was far, she'd warn me to be careful on the drive over. It was just normal everyday concern that led to asking such an obvious thing. I felt sad that I couldn't answer such a run-of-the-mill question. Sorry, it's something that you can't talk about, isn't it? Please be careful. Sorry, Yuki. At some point, you started apologising right away. Even though when you first started your job, you were all gung-ho about it. Yuki laughed as though she had realised something. At times like this, Yuki had the magical power to see right through me. It's already been quite a while since I was admitted to the hospital. You're finally getting lonely. Don't tease me. I'm too old to get lonely. Well, you can get lonely when you're older, I'm sure. Oh, really? You actually like to be doted on, don't you? Don't you start getting a little faint of heart when I'm not around? Oh, jeez. I can see the little devil horn sprouting from your head right now. You've always been like this. Yeah, teasing. You can't hide it. You can't hide it. If I don't play with you, you get all lonely. I can hear your tail wagging over the phone. Oh, she's calling him a dog. This side of Yuki wasn't something you could guess existed from seeing her usual modest behaviour. It was something that she didn't show to anybody else but me. I don't think you see this side of her in the manga or the anime, honestly. I think you just see the innocent, pregnant woman as his wife kind of thing. Don't see any of this. Normally I'd poke her to hide my embarrassment and bring an end to the conversation, but I couldn't do that over the phone. Of course, Yuki was clever. She was teasing me because of that. I wonder when I figured out that giving you grief was this much fun. Give me a break. In any case, it's good to hear you so lively. I know, right? Did I cheer you up? I'd called Yuki to keep her from feeling lonely when she was by herself in the hospital room, so he was doing it for her not to be lonely. Of course, that was nothing more than the pretense that I, being shy, had come up with. It seemed that Yuki had long since seen through that act. Yeah. Please phone again. When I'm not feeling up to it, I'll get my father to talk with you. Although, if you're talking with my father, I get the feeling that you'd be standing at attention on the other side of the line. Yeah. For a while longer, Yuki kept teasing me without letting me end the call. Ah, that's a nice one actually. We got to see a different side of Yuki and we got to see that he's still phoning her and everything's still going well. A record of opening remarks. Ooh, let's have a look. Chairman XX. Members of the XX Party. Congratulations are due as we are celebrating 25 years since our founding. These past 25 years have seen much growth in the prefecture. The once quiet scenery of nothing but fields now has seen the opening of a new stop for the bullet train. And with the development of the highway, we've seen the rebirth of a modern city bursting with youthful energy. We've reaped the benefits of new businesses and industry. And now with the special reverence the residents of the prefecture have for time-honoured traditions. History and culture, business and industry, with these ideals in harmony, they have accomplished in growing their city into one of Japan's foremost metropolises. Of course, the development of the prefecture couldn't have happened without the growth of the party. We are resolved to see every one of our campaign promises to fruition, reaching our targets definitively and expediently like arrows fired from a bow. With these arrows as the fundamental basis of the party, our members have sought to pierce the obstructions preventing the happiness of the residents of the prefecture. But I do believe that everybody here is unlike an ordinary arrow. While being as unfaltering and straightforward, we have not neglected in seeking solutions that conform to the current day and age, while also keeping an eye on the future. An arrow, once loosed, can only fly to its destination. Everyone here, however, is no simple arrow. Even once loosed from the bow, without neglecting our studies, while employing new methods, and implementing more effective and flexible ideas, thus being able to change trajectories mid-flight, we are magical arrows. The modern age marches ever forward. Sometimes it marches faster than the time taken from planning to execution. The following part was not in the script. It is thought to have been ad-libbed by the minister. For example, there have recently been numerous problems with the Hinamizawa power plant project. Rather than forcing through the project solely because it was decided upon by the government, it's necessary to reflect on and adjust the ever-changing needs of the residents, the region, and the next generation. The protests by the local residents that surround the Hinamizawa Dam. These are also the will of the people of the prefecture. If you feel that there is no need to listen because the project has already been finalised, then you do nothing more than shed a poor light on Japan's post-war democracy. Following is as per the script. For the lasting happiness of the citizens of Japan and the residents of the prefecture, please consider these policies thoroughly. I believe, however, we've all gained something from the flexibility and foresight of the party. I've taken up much of your time. However, allow me to say the following to celebrate the 25th anniversary of our founding. Chairman, members of the party in attendance, thank you very much for today. From the opening remarks of the party prefectural forum and 25th anniversary celebration. I'm not too sure what that was all going on about. I mean, is it the start of the Hinamizawa, the party to do with them and how they've been spreading around? I don't know. I'm not really sure what was going on there myself. I don't know if I just wasn't reading. Probably. Anyway, gears and fire and the taste of honey. What? Okay. The world is filled with people blessed with relationships. Of course, that doesn't mean that everyone's connected to each other. It's obvious that on the other side of the planet, there are people laughing and crying who can't possibly have an effect on you. Yeah, okay. However, in the extremely limited community of the neighbourhood, that sort of connection is just a matter of fact. Hinamizawa is all connected. It's quite possible that a single remarkable event could have massive consequences inside a small community. If we were to increase that in scale, a perfect stranger on the other side of the globe might become enough of a legend to have an effect on our lives. It's not always that way. Like I said at the beginning, the links between people basically aren't that relevant in the grand scheme of things. Whether some household nearby is having steak or croquettes doesn't matter to me, no. When I put on my shoes, it doesn't matter to anybody whether I put the right one on first or the left, no. This much the average person can understand. But actually, in reality, this is the truth. The bonds between people are quite well defined. It's not just a matter of distance, of being far or near. For example, let's say that person A's actions have some effect on me. Even then, person B's actions could have absolutely no consequences on my life. The reverse also holds true. Just because my actions affect person A, that doesn't always mean that they affect person B as well. Well, yeah, things that you do are only going to affect certain people, aren't they? If anyone. Let's put it bluntly. If the bonds between people are like gears in a machine, the gear that represents me meshes with some people but is isolated from others, like it'll hit some gears but not others to activate certain things, I guess. There's some who would try arguing against this. Those people would bring up the example of gears in a clock. Each gear indeed only directly meshes with one or two others, yeah. However, if you rotate one gear, the one next to it is moved, which connects to the next one, and the next. In the end, all the gears are moving. There's a logic behind this, more than enough to convince the average person. Why is the argument convincing? The answer is simple. The relationships between people are ambiguous and can only be described conceptually. How the gears are connected and how their movements are chained together can't be used as a fundamental explanation, so it throws a wet blanket on that argument. So for the people who like that explanation, I'll use the example of a clock again to refute it. First of all, to say that this world is a single clock would be wrong. That is, there isn't only one clock. There exist many clocks in the world, each counting their own time. If you think about it, the idea that this world is just one big clock is the height of arrogance. Even if you use the analogy of gears to explain human relationships, then you should be able to explain it using an analogy of multiple clocks, unrelated to a single gear. Neighbours A and B. A is a gear in the same clock as me, so it's best to remain civil. B is a gear in a different clock, so he doesn't really matter to me at all. That's the kind of clear distinction I'm talking about. You want to say I'm being fallacious? Then let's change the analogy to something more familiar so you can understand. You probably heard the phrase, a fire on the opposite shore, sometime in your life now. I have actually heard that phrase. For example, if your neighbour's house was on fire, you'd probably try and help to put it out, wouldn't you? It'd be awful if the fire spread and burned down your own house after all. Oh, because you're so close, okay. But if that fire was in a town on the opposite side of a river, would you still go out of your way to help? You wouldn't, would you? Even though it would be the wrong thing to do, there's no way the fire could spread your own house. Even if it turned into a huge conflagration, there's no relation between the houses that will spread fire to yours and those that won't. With this basic example, you should be able to see the difference between gears that are or aren't related to your own. Having said that, there's still a lot to think about, even without a river to divide it. After all, it's not a spatial problem like being on the other side of the river, is it? No, I guess not, but certain people will I think all we're meant to get out of that is that certain people will help other people only if it helps themselves. I think that's what they're getting at, in a very roundabout, weird way. Taste of honey, though. Was there anything to do with taste of honey? I don't know. The chick in the trunk. Oh god. We've got a dead body coming. The car had stopped, but he didn't know any more than that. For not only was he blindfolded, but locked in the trunk of the car. I thought it was a chick. How could people become this powerless just by being robbed of their sight? He absolutely wouldn't have known this without experiencing it firsthand. He soon realised it was pointless to try and undo his bonds, with the confines of the trunk quickly making him lightheaded. He had no choice but to let this mild torture dull his senses. That's why, when the car stopped and the unpleasant vibrations ceased as the engine was killed, he couldn't help but delude himself that he was being set free, even though nothing had been resolved in reality. Of course, he was soon removed from that delusion. He strained his ears when he heard one of the men who had abducted him, and an older man he was hearing for the first time, struck up a conversation. "Nice to see you. The chick is in the trunk." But a chick is a woman! He struggled so much he's probably exhausted right now. There's not a mark on him, just as ordered. Oh, must have been a handful. The trunk opened, letting in a blast of fresh, cool air. Is this meant to be the mayor's... not mayor's, you know, the boy that was kidnapped? Is that how it was meant to be? Even though up until just now, he had been thinking about getting out of that stuffy trunk, when it was actually opened he suddenly became uneasy. Enough so that he wished that the lid of the trunk would once again close, separating himself from them. Suddenly, somebody stroked his head. Of course, since he was blindfolded, he couldn't tell if the hand was petting him or simply evaluating how easy it would be to remove his scalp. Oh. Unable to tell the difference, he could only freeze as he imagined the worst case scenario. Poor little bugger. He's shaking. Just stay calm for a bit. The old man said that kindly as he gently stroked the boy's head. This must be real tough for you. But you see, your Gramps is a nice man. He'll help you soon enough. It is. That's who it is. The boy was kidnapped in the main story. Having heard nothing but the average standard dialect his whole life, the older man's distinct intonation left a deep impression on the boy. But he had no idea what he was saying. For your Gramps to register as meaning your grandfather took a while to process. Eventually, the hand that was stroking his head loosened the blindfold. Can't keep his eyes covered. If he splits his face open, it'd be bad. And with that, we might as well take out the gag. You can't breathe like that. Sounds like a Yorkshireman or something. It'll be trouble if he yells. Leave him to us. Geez, you guys don't know how to treat somebody. The main family said no rough stuff. The main family, says Sonzaki's. You better remember that well. Yeah. We won't do anything stupid. As long as the kid cooperates, that is. The man's hand prodded roughly and repeatedly at the boy's head. A rugged hand, unlike the affectionate one that had been stroking his head before. Just stay cooperative. If you struggle, there's no guarantee that will happen. That cliched threat was literally beaten into his head. Okay, that's nice to see a bit of background stuff to do with the kidnapping and seeing that the boy's still alive and everything. I mean, he probably would be, because in order to get something out of his grandfather, but you know, you never know, dear. You never know. So, anyway, I think that'll do it. Both chapter parts, or chapter halves to chapter 1 have been really long. It's why the episodes have been long so far, but this is the format we're going to go with going forward, same as with the first 3 arcs, for the most part. We'll be doing half chapters every time, whatever reaches the midway point, it tells us. So anyway, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, if you do want to buy this game, it's available on Steam, as you know. It's available on there. But now that the first 4 arcs are out, the 4 question arcs, they've released a bundle out as well. It includes all 4 question arcs, and it's only like £4 for all 4. It's so cheap. And if you were buying them as they came out, they were like £4 odd each, so you paid about £16. And now the bundles come out for £4 odd on its own. It's bloody hell. It's so gutting, but you know, when you've spread out the payment anyway, it doesn't matter quite so much to me. So anyway, this has been GreenyXI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying this arc so far. It has been a bit information heavy, I think, with it just being Ooishi and Akasaka talking a lot of research and stuff. But now they're about to head into Hinamizawa, it's about to get more interesting. You're about to see the dam project get going firsthand, and you're about to get to see some things that you didn't realise happened because Keiichi wasn't told about it. You're about to get to see the club members, a couple of them, as little kiddies and stuff, and see what they were like then. You might think that they were just innocent little kids, but you think that in the first 3 arcs that they're innocent little kids, right? There's stuff going on and it's really good. I hope you enjoy what's to come. Again, thanks for watching, folks. See you again in a bit.